Hello friends, in this video we are going to discover the top 10 most dangerous states in the United States. Do you live in one of the most dangerous states in America? We all watch the news with horror when we hear about a crime that happens not that far away from us, while a major crime just blocks or towns away from your house would make anyone uneasy in the long run. Most likely where you live is relatively safe. Instead of relying on public opinion and speculation, we wanted to get the facts straight and dug into the FBI crime data in order to identify the most dangerous states in the U.S. If you're in one of the places we're about to highlight, odds are you know things aren't a place that you can let your guard down too often. The purpose of this study is to use facts to determine which of our great American states have the highest instances of crime. While unbiased, this research does take into account factors that almost all Americans would agree are undesirable. Therefore, while you may have strong opinions either way, you can't argue against the methodology. Turns out New Mexico is the most dangerous state in all of America, the safest. You might not be too surprised that New Hampshire takes the cake. After analyzing all 50 U.S. states, we came up with this list as the 10 most dangerous states in America for 2023. Kindly make sure to hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon before we start this video about the 10 most dangerous states in the United States. Now let's dig deeper into each of the top 10 most dangerous states in the United States. Number 10 on the list of most dangerous states in the United States is Arizona. Arizona comes in as our 10th most dangerous state to live in America, and we're not talking about the weather, people. Arizona is one of two states out west to make the list. There are really two main issues with crime in Arizona: robberies in the U.S.-Mexico border. Arizona saw 17,937 cars stolen last year, and there were nearly 24,488 home invasion robberies in the state too. How would you feel to come home to a home that's been pillaged? Well, Arizona people know better. Lock up that cactus. The border is an issue here every day. People complain of burglars, people breaking into their homes, smugglers coming through their properties and damaging their properties, and of immigrant-related assaults. Arizona is also third worst in America for health care for its residents and has the third highest rate of people getting hit by cars. At least you can carry a gun here without a permit, so that might make you feel safer. In terms of Phoenix, it's really ghetto in some areas, but downtown Phoenix is so boring even the criminals don't want to hang out there. Number 9 on the list of most dangerous states in the United States is Colorado. Didn't expect to see Colorado on this list. The big jump for Colorado to be the 9th most dangerous state in the U.S. for 2023 was due to property crime. The property crime rate in Colorado was third worst in the country. Pretty crazy compared to several years ago. Colorado saw 294 murders last year. Additionally, you have about a 1 in 250 chance of being the victim of a violent crime every year in the state. Some of the most dangerous areas in the state include Glendale, Sheridan, and Alamosa. Number 8 on the list of most dangerous states in the United States is Oklahoma. We don't go very far on our next stop in our danger tour of the United States. Oklahoma ranks safe on our list now. In Oklahoma, property and violent crimes aren't in the top 10 in either category, but when you add up the number of crimes per resident, this state has some serious issues. Many of them are poverty-related. Tulsa, in particular, is a really bad place to live. Violent crime here has actually gone down by 4% over the last several years, and property crime by 5%. Still, residents had around a 1% chance of being the victim of violence and about a 5% chance of being the victim of theft or arson in 2020 reporting year. In fact, according to the statistics, you'd have a 1 in 100 chance of being a victim of a violent crime every year, and that doesn't even take into consideration the state's tornado danger or native stinging caterpillars. Some people say Oklahoma's issues are with state funding, which builds jails instead of schools, and healthcare problem that leaves many people in the dark. Here is Oklahoma a great state to live? Sure it is, but are some parts really dangerous? You betcha. Number 7 on the list of most dangerous states in the United States is Missouri. Our 7th stop on our danger tour of America starts in Missouri. Most Americans might think of Missouri of a bunch of redneck farmers, and for the most part they'd be right. But if you haven't stepped foot in St. Louis before, here's what you're missing. In 2020, St. Louis had the 49th most murders per capita in the entire country. Sure, most of the crimes that happen here are between rival gangs and within certain neighborhoods, but that doesn't mean the violence doesn't spill into other parts of St. Louis. So while the majority of Missouri is completely safe and many Missouri residents work hard, go to church, and care about their communities, the real jerks in the show me state make things bad for everyone else. In terms of property crimes, Missouri ranks as the 9th worst. That takes into account stolen cars, cell phones, and even toys. Number 6 on the list of most dangerous states in the United States is Alaska. Want to get away? How about Alaska? It's pretty darn dangerous in these parts. So here's the deal with Alaska. Yes, it's the most violent place you can live in the nation. Sure, there are hardly any places in Alaska where people actually live, but in the large clusters of cities that do exist, the odds are higher here than anywhere else than a rape, assault, or murder will occur. That's some scary stuff, and it's 13th in the nation for number of property crimes as well. For many remote Alaskan communities only accessible by plane, the biggest danger isn't bear attacks, rather it's the villagers themselves and the unavailability of any law enforcement to protect victims. There are at least 75 Native American Alaskan villages that don't have any law enforcement, reports the Washington Post. Isolated by long distances in difficult terrain, those residents must report crimes and wait for Alaska state troopers to arrive in the village after hours of traveling. Unfortunately, there are places in rural Alaska that if a woman is raped or a child is beaten, that victim might not get any help whatsoever. It can take a day and a half before responders show up to the scene of a crime or to a call for help. Imagine if you were a victim of violence and you can't get help because weather conditions don't allow you to get out of your village. Where are you supposed to go? You have nowhere to go. In any event, if you go to Alaska, you'd better watch your back. Whether it's a bear or a crazy drunk local, things can get dicey pretty quickly out here in no man's land. Number 5 on the list of most dangerous states in the United States is Tennessee. Would you have guessed that Tennessee is the 5th most dangerous state in America? If you're from Memphis, you'd probably agree. Memphis may just be the worst city in America in many categories. Residents faced a 1 in 49 chance of being raped, assaulted, or murdered last year, which is a 5% higher rate than the previous reporting year. There are perhaps 10,000 gang members in Shelby County. Why is Tennessee so violent? Like many of the states we've discussed earlier, poverty, high drug use, and a lack of solid jobs are all contributing factors. A lot of property crime from druggies and other low-lives breaking into property looking for drugs or money for drugs. Seems like they can't find enough cops to deal with the crappy people who make such a great state a dangerous one. Overall, Tennessee is the 3rd worst in America when it comes to violent crimes. Anyone want to volunteer to walk around Newport or sweep water alone at night? Anyone? No, didn't think so. Number 4 on the list of most dangerous states in the United States is South Carolina. Where's the 3rd most dangerous state in America? That would be South Carolina. South Carolina is notorious for property crimes, where residents have the 5th highest chance in the country for being the victim of a car theft, robbery, or home invasion. You could probably take all of the crime that happens in Myrtle Beach away and South Carolina would drop 10 places. Myrtle Beach used to be an amazing place for vacations and for the kids, no longer. If you've been to Myrtle Beach in the last 10 years, you'd see lots of trash, break-ins, criminal activity, and hear gunshots at night when you're trying to sleep in your beachside hotel room. It's especially bad here during Bike Week, 4th of July, spring break, and any other warm weather-related holiday. Myrtle Beach, we're so disappointed in you. Much of South Carolina is relatively poor, which is part of the problem with property crimes in many areas. Unemployment is high, drug use is rampant, and education is undervalued. South Carolina received an F for home and community safety and ranks 2nd to last in the nation by the National Safety Council for road safety. The state received a D, just missing the bottom 10. Residential fires, drownings, firearms, and safety for vulnerable road users are areas where South Carolina is off track too. Is this a pretty state? In many parts along the coast, some say it's the prettiest in America, but it's a place where you can't leave your keys in your Hyundai Elantra and expect it to be there when you come back. Number 3 on the list of most dangerous states in the United States is Arkansas. Remaining in the South, our next dangerous pit stop in America is Arkansas. Is another poor state in the South with a far higher than average number of murders, rapes, assaults, and robberies per capita. If you live in the natural state, don't leave your car doors unlocked. There were more than 7,933 vehicles stolen in the state of Arkansas in 2022 reporting year. Holy cow, if you've never been to Little Rock, we're not trying to diss anyone really hard, but man, that place is rough. It's always on some list of most dangerous places in the U.S. for one year or another. For a city its size, 50 murders a year is sky high. It's not Memphis rough, but in a lot of places it's straight ghetto. Pine Bluff is also pretty bad, but at least if you're not a gangster you'll probably stay out of trouble. Number 2 on the list of most dangerous states in the United States is Louisiana. We don't have to travel too far away to get to our next most dangerous state in the Union, Louisiana. Does poverty correlate with crime? Yes, Louisiana is very poor, and the number of thefts and attacks here is through the roof. 5 cities in the Bay Estate make the list of danger hotbeds in this part of the country. Monroe, Shreveport, Baton Rouge, New Orleans and Alexandria are all places where you want to remain vigilant when you're out and about after dark, and don't even think about heading out into the swampy areas after the sun sets either. All told, Louisiana ranks in the top 5 for both violent and property crimes. The Bayou State had nearly 11 murders and non-negligent manslaughters per 100,000 people not too long ago. The next highest state was Mississippi with 7. The lowest was New Hampshire with 1 per 100,000 people. That means Louisiana has a murder rate 10 times higher than New Hampshire. It may be no coincidence that the Bayou State is also the prison capital of America. Louisiana locks up more citizens per capita than any other state. The people here are some of the friendliest in the South. And you talk about culture, wow, it's just that poverty, hot weather and lax gun laws make this the wild, wild South. Number 1 on the list of most dangerous states in the United States is New Mexico. Where's the most dangerous state in all the land? How does New Mexico sound? New Mexico has all the issues we described above, wrapped into one: a Native American population that's poor and violent, a poor, relatively uneducated population that's lacking jobs and a bright future. It's a border town, so there are issues with crime and vagrants sneaking into the country. The number of violent crimes per person is the second highest, and the number of property crimes is the highest you'll find in America by a long shot. That means there are more robberies, thefts and break-ins here in New Mexico than any other place in America. Substance abuse, socioeconomic issues, and even the fact that the state is crossed by major interstates leading to the West Coast and to Mexico are issues. Half the crime reported in the state are in one place, Albuquerque, where car thefts are at an all-time high. People talk about Florida man being dangerous and sketchy and unhinged. What about New Mexico, man? If you live in New Mexico, you're likely bored to death and you have to worry about crime all the time. But hey, at least the sunsets are pretty. Well, that's all we have for you today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the content of this video, click the subscribe button so you can receive more content like this. Post what you think is the most dangerous state among the top 10 most dangerous states in the United States in the comments below. I'd love to read them, and I'm sure others would too.